Wine, Wine Not, a queer podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine,
Why Not, a queer podcast.
episode 62. And for the first time, we have a new sponsor to tell you about.
Yes, we do. Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV STI testing, and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together. All right.
Hey, that was our first time reading an ad. That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get better at it. We're just really excited.
It'll sound more natural, like we're having a conversation.
It will, because we're going to pre-record it next time. And it'll go right in. Because one thing we've learned today is we are not about the live. We're not about, it worked for, what's his name? We'll do it live. Who was that?
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, it worked for him. You doing okay over there, Caitlin? Okay. We have a completely new setup. We're trying something new. So.
Yes.
Are you having a hard time hearing me because you sound surprised by every time I say something? Like we're trying something new and there's this pause and you're like, yes. Or is it not a pause to you? Is it a lag?
It's a little pause. Little pauses.
Oh, there's a lag.
Yeah, we're talking in separate rooms right now. I have been quarantined off for health purposes.
I appreciate that. I do. Although I hope I didn't catch it yesterday when we were watching the movie.
Yeah, I for anyone who's not attached to this podcast, I've had the worst couple of weeks. I wrote down month really. This is what my month has been. So the pollen, for anybody who's in Florida and has allergies, knows it's been terrible. So my allergies started acting up. Then I had a little procedure done at the beginning of this month. As I was recouping for that, I got a pretty bad cold, so had a few days out of the office. That turned into a sinus infection, and that sinus infection became strep throat. So now I am locked away in my home with little bottles of delicious pills. So I'm locked away for 20 or 48 hours. So, but I should come out healthier and stronger. They gave me prednisone, and she said you're going to feel amazing in 2 days. I'm like, thank God.
Good. Everyone should come out, by the way.
They should. Healthy and happy.
Yeah, good times. So was that your week? Was that your synopsis of your week?
Most of it, yeah. We did a couple of things. We did a couple of things together.
We did.
But for the most part, if I wasn't tagging along with you somewhere, I was in bed, heavily drugged.
I think that anybody that listens to this podcast has learned that I'm your plus one.
Only to certain
I
things.
tagged along with you.
In some things. In some other things, I tagged along with you, and I am your plus one.
Yeah, so...
But, how was your week?
It was good. Let's just jump into the things we did together. But we'll go all around. We'll go around to this. I will let everybody know we have had some technical difficulty today, and so because we're trying to do this setup where Jeremy could be quarantined, but we didn't want to skip doing the podcast. So we're trying out this new thing. So this may be the shortest podcast we've done. But we'll see how it goes. I say that, and then I realize that every time I'm going to open my mouth is going to disappoint Caitlin. She would like us to be done in 5 minutes, but I have like 4 pages of notes from what we did last Tuesday. I'll try not to go through them all. But we went to see Jagged Little Pill at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center, the Walt Disney Theater, and we had amazing seats. They were, anybody who's been to the theater, if you get row B, that's a pretty good seat. It's not like the front because they start like AA. Now, It depends on where
They
you.
start like AA.
Oh, hi, Rick. So, although if I did get like row C in like the balcony ones, and I thought, oh, that's good. But I think in the balcony they start A at the top, like
Oh,
the
and then move
very,
their way
and then
down.
move their way down, and then they start AA at the front of the orchestra and move their way back. So anyway, we were row B, which is really
Yeah.
great, but it also was directly in front of the speakers.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
for anyone who knows, this is the Alanis Morissette musical, which is kind of cool because, like most jukebox musicals that has the music of a person, they typically, well, they all have music of people. What a stupid thing to say, but like all the songs of a particular artist. Um, it's usually about them. Like Jersey
Yeah.
Boys is about the life of the artist and
Yeah.
getting the group
Cher, Tina
together.
Turner,
Yeah. Not
Neil
I
Diamond.
learned this. Alicia Keys has a Broadway musical out this season.
Yes, I saw the making of it on what CBS Sunday morning, that morning show they do right before their political show.
Where would one find this show? I would love to watch that. The making of this. I love Alicia Keys.
It was, I'll look for it. It was through CBS, so it's probably on their app, CBS News app. But it was
Okay,
really interesting hearing her talk about the making of the show.
this is how we stretch 45 minutes into 2 hours. I would love to watch it. So anyway, but unlike all of those things, this is not about the life of Alanis Morissette.
No, at least I don't think it is. And if it is, girl, we need to talk.
Oh, I know.
You've been through a lot.
Well, it makes Jagged Little Pill, the album, make much more sense.
Yes.
So anyway,
Well, you know who that album was about? Well, rumored, urban legend. It was about her breakup with Joey from Full House. Yeah.
cut
Her out.
it
That's
out.
what he did.
I wasn't sign languaging circumcision.
He cut her out of his life.
Have you seen the previews? I don't know if there's anything gay about this. I want there to be because I want us to be able to watch it. Now, he does dress up like Britney Spears, so maybe we could just take that 3 seconds and go into this. But have you seen the preview or the trailer for the show called Ricky Stenicki? It's with John Cena.
Yes. It's a movie on Prime, Amazon Prime.
It's
I
on
think.
one of those. I am dying to see that because there's that scene. Jen sent me the clip of it where what's his name? The older
Nick
guy.
Offerman.
No, the older guy. Who plays he's in Shameless, he was in Boogie Nights.
Oh, William H. Macy.
William H. Macy. Yeah, so he's in it, and he gives these speeches, and when he does, he's always talking like this, and he's like, and then you got this thing over here, and you got this thing over here, and they tell him he looks like he's going to town on some penises, and that whole scene, it cracks me up. So anyway,
He talks like Donald Trump dances.
yeah. So anyway, like Ricky Stenicki dresses up like Britney Spears. So I want to talk, and now I've lost my complete train of thought as to why I even started thinking about that movie, but it popped into my mind. Anyway, so we saw Jagged Little Pill, which is great. We interviewed Jade McLeod, right, who played Joe.
Yeah.
Joe is the
Non-binary.
She's non-binary. Identify as she wouldn't identify as a lesbian. It's just non-binary. But she's
I believe they go by they, them, and they're non-binary. And I believe the character is also
Watermark interviewed them, and I thought they were great in the show. But I just wanted to give a shout out to that interview and that Watermark did that. I looked a little bit into the cast of the tour because I was interested to know about them. Are the people I thought were really good, and I decided not to write down the names of the people that I don't think did that great, just because. I mean,
so if I don't hear your name,
I want to say if I don't mention your name, it doesn't mean anything. It just means I wrote down the other people. I wrote down this because I thought you might like this. Daniel Thim. It might be Tim. I don't know. Thimm. That was the Beast. So that you may now follow the Beast on Instagram. There was a dancer who was just a very nice looking, very well built,
nice body, and had Beast written across his chest.
So we did that. Julie, I'm not gonna get these names wrong. Julie Reiber was really good. She was the mom who played Mary Jane Mealy. And what's interesting about her is that she just finished Come From Away. And I don't know if you've seen Come From Away. She was on
Yeah, we
Broadway
saw
at
it
Come From
together.
Away. Oh, yeah. Did we? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that
Very
show.
good, yes.
Come From Away is so good. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because I want you to be just as shocked as I was when I sat down and found out what it was about. It took me about 5 minutes into the show, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. She was also Elphaba in Wicked and did a lot of other Broadway things. She was good. I thought she was really good, which is why I wanted to look her up. Did you know this, though? This is kind of cool. Interesting. I don't know. You watch Disney Channel shows, right?
I have, yes.
And you watch, I'm not going to call them cartoons, but you watch animated Disney shows? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Ghost Force?
I did not.
But do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it at all? Oh, okay. Well, this is meaningless. This is meaningless.
Was someone on Ghost Force from the show?
The guy who played the rapist, Jordan.
Spoiler alert, there's a rapist in it.
Jordan. Well, I mean, I'm sure he didn't see himself that way, but that's part of the problem, isn't it? Jordan Quizno. I don't not like the store that you get sandwiches, but like it's Quisno. So I imagine it's Quizno. Yeah, he played Andy Baker on Ghost Force.
Wow.
That's what I wrote about people that okay, so I thought the guy that played the dad was fine too. People around me thought he was a little too articulate. Like his pronunciations were real crisp and all that, but that's what you do in theater because you're trying to make sure that people in the last row can understand you and what you're doing.
This is travel Broadway, sir. We don't want to hear the full word.
So a lot of times people are over animated in their gestures because they're trying, much like when Satine coughs it and then shows a bloody thing.
Oh, she has tuberculosis.
We're going to talk about that later, aren't we? When she coughs and shows a bloody rag. Okay. Anyway, so those are the people I wanted to talk about. What did you think of the show, Jeremy?
I thought the show was okay. I thought it was fine. I am a huge Alanis Morissette fan. Alanis Morissette was one of the list of female rockers in the 90s that I listened to so frequently that most people in school thought I was just a lesbian. So I absolutely love Alanis Morissette, and I love Jagged Little Pill.
People thought that about me, but I think it was the C cup.
Yeah. I had me some C cups too. But it's weird hearing her songs sung by other people. And not thinking, oh, I wish Alanis was singing this, just because I love her voice and I love how she sang so much. But I thought the show was good. I did think it's very heavy-handed. It's a lot of kind of like after school specials. Kind of, it's like you're dealing with drugs and sexual assault and racism.
There's
and
a lot.
It's a lot of boxes checked on this show.
Yeah,
so it's a heavy show.
I wrote this down. I'm wondering if this is what we think, because it was like really loud and it was really in your face. And I just wonder is that what older people felt like when they saw Rent for the first time?
Probably, because I feel that way when I watch Rent now. When I watched it when it first was out, I was like, I would listen to the music. I was like, yeah, stick it to the man. And now I listen to it. I was like, just pay your rent. Get a job and pay your rent.
I mean, you haven't been paying all this time. You're squatters. There's this thing I started watching, and I mean, it's on Reels. I don't TikTok, but it's probably TikTok that Facebook pulls over as a reel. I don't know. But there's this thing about squatters where these people go in and they try to get rid of squatters. And I'm just like, that makes me think differently about those nice young people that lived in that place where the man was trying to get them.
Yeah, I've seen several TikToks of like people getting arrested who own the house getting arrested because they were trying to kick the squatters out of their house. And they're like, well, they have rights too. No, they don't. They don't own the house. You don't have a lease.
I just happen to know a situation, and I think I described it to you, like locally in Orlando, where I have a friend who had a
Mhm.
house, and then some people ended up in that house, and they faked a
Yeah.
lease, and they were squatters, and getting rid of them was an impossible. They had to sell the house to get rid of the squatters, and it
Yeah.
was a
And they
big
probably didn't leave.
mess.
They probably just passed that problem on to the new
No,
owners.
they've renovated the place and are selling it. It
Ah,
turned into well, we don't need to use those words on the podcast. A real crap hole.
ah,
So anyway, yeah, I was thinking like it was this. I'm gonna say this. This is probably like I don't know. I try not to be inappropriate. I feel like I have to explain
sure.
myself, but I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say, like, it was this whole like angsty, like part of life that I probably was when I was in college, and I was younger, and people were like, "Now's not the time to." Like, I went to a small Southern Baptist college in North Carolina, and I'm like, "We're gonna start a gay youth group," and they were like, "No, no, no, calm down. Right now is not the time." And I'm like, "You don't understand. Now is the time." And there was that whole thing. So I was like this. So it's
Yeah.
hypocritical of me to say this, but I just got this whole thing that's like adults don't listen, adults don't understand us, and now here, look at this big poster about my period. And I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. But I do enjoy the show. I really do. I think it's really good. I don't think that there is a lot of um there's not a lot of well, there's no Broadway show except for Jagged Little Pill that really addresses the uh, opioid crisis from an affluent white Connecticut family. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
soccer mom who got into a car accident and got addicted to this, and it destroyed everything that she tried to build in life. I think that Desperate Housewives tried to get into that a little bit with like the mom taking Ritalin, but it wasn't like this. So I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. Like that
If you
this
want a
is.
TV show that kind of tackles that, if you watch The Connors, I hear the mother died from opioid overdose.
I think like. Do you know what a TV show where writers get pissed at somebody, they kill them off in a terrible way? So
Yeah.
it wasn't
That
just
whole
that, right?
situation reminded me of Joey Tribbiani on One Life to Live.
Yeah, right. It's like the best example of this is Nicolette Sheridan, who was on Desperate
Mm.
Housewives. When her character was killed off on Desperate Housewives, it was like she got into
It
a
was
car
brutal.
accident, and you're like, "Oh, you think that's gonna do it?" And that wasn't it. And then she had hit an electric pole, and then she was standing in water, and then the electric line hit the water, and she like you thought that would do it, but then a pack of wild dogs came out and ate her. I'm just kidding. The dog thing didn't happen, but it was like it was so dramatic. I was like, those writers were pissed at
Oh
her.
yeah. If you want a dramatic um, writers who were angry with a performer, the South Park episode where Chef leaves
Oh yeah,
after Isaac Hayes had a falling out because of their Scientology episode, they they had a wild bear and a bobcat tear him apart and then shit all over the rocks as he died. It's horrible to watch.
Do you mind me telling you something weird that I saw today?
Sure.
I called Dylan to tell him this right as I saw this because I thought I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I'm going to call Dylan and tell him. And his reaction was like, "Don't tell anyone else the story." So I'm going to try anyway. I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
You know those bins like that you put your trash in? You put them at the end of the street. A lot of
Yeah.
neighborhoods have them, and they got these big wheels on them. Right? There's two big wheels on either side. That sits a good 6 to 8 inches above the ground. Right?
Yeah.
I saw a dog shitting on top of one of the
Oh.
wheels. Like
Of
that is
yours?
first of all, and it's only like the wheels are this thick, so that's some pretty good aim. I mean, it was not mine. It
Ew.
was down the street, but there's just a dog walking around. It was the weirdest thing. Anyway, thanks for letting me share. And I can tell by the look on your face that Dylan was right, and I probably should just keep these things to
Yeah,
myself.
that you should have kept that in your
I
box locked
look,
away.
if you read my publisher's desk and watermark from time to time, you'll know that I'm an awkward person, and I just think, oh, that's interesting. Like show and tell. One time, I was new to this school, third grade, and they were like, "Oh, why don't you come up and tell us something interesting?" Because I was new, and I was like, "Okay, well, I went to the zoo last weekend and I saw an elephant pee, and it was like cracking open a fire hydrant and watching the thing go. It's crazy." Pulled me in the hallway. She's like, "Why would you say that?" I was like, "I don't know. I thought it was interesting. You told me to say something." Anyway, so yeah, Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, yeah. So good show.
I enjoyed it. I did. It's.
I-
I think that tour is wrapping up. Like maybe in this season, it's got a couple more stops, and then I would imagine they're going to regroup and go back out though because
Yeah,
it's a good.
I would think
It's a good
so.
show.
The Straz announced their lineup. Is Jagged Little Pill? Do you know if Jagged Little Pill's on that one?
It was there
'Cause I know
last
it's not on
season.
Dr. Phillips.
It was last season.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it might come back someday.
Or it was maybe at the beginning of the tour it was them. But you know what's interesting about this that I'm always interested in this part of like taking songs that are popular and making them into musicals is how they use the song in the show and then how they break up the words in between different people and they keep it consistent through the whole show. So whoever wrote this I thought did a really good job at arranging all of that, making that happen.
Yeah, yeah. Those jukebox musicals are quite popular. It seems like almost everything that's come onto Broadway over the last few years is either a jukebox musical or a musical version of a movie from the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s.
And they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be that popular. There's like you can count on 3 fingers the jukebox musicals that are good, I think. But
Yeah.
have you ever seen Ain't Too Proud?
No.
I think we covered it on this, maybe, or I don't know. That is the best jukebox musical I've ever seen, and it's actually about the Commodore. No,
The Commodores?
I don't know. I don't remember. It might. What's another? It's not the Commodores because that was Lionel Richie, so it's not the
Yeah.
Commodores. Um,
The Four Tops.
it could be. Yeah, it's probably the Four Tops.
The Four
Probably.
Seasons.
No, that's Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. That's Jersey Boys.
The Four Beatles.
The fifth Beatle. So anyway, that was good. Then the other thing that we did was Tampa Pride.
Tampa Pride.
You're pausing because you want to see how I handle it.
I was pausing for dramatic effect.
You want to see what I have to say. Look, anybody listen, if you follow us, if you follow Watermark or no, you know there's some sort of let's just say hiccup in the relationship between say Watermark and Tampa Pride. But we don't need to get into that. We could talk about Tampa Pride and just what we did, what we saw. You worked the booth, right? Did you walk around at all?
I didn't. I mean, as we talked about earlier, I have not been in the best of health.
Oh, that's right.
So
you didn't spread strep throughout Tampa? No?
Yeah. I went coughing and waving my strep in throughout Tampa. So
sneeze on the newspapers and here you go.
Started my own little epidemic through Ybor. But no, the traffic was crazy. I don't know why so many people were driving to Tampa in the morning and why so many were driving to Orlando in the evening. But it took me like 2.5 hours to get there. And then I worked a 2-hour shift and then 2.5 hours to get back. And that was my whole day. But it was good. I mean, we met lots of people, handed out papers, waved. Unfortunately, I hugged some people, so I'll check in on them in the next week or so.
Isn't that the thing? Like when you had COVID more than once, right?
Technically, I only had it once. There's been times where I think I had COVID, but whenever I tested myself, it was negative.
See, whenever I had COVID twice, I don't know, maybe 3 times, I forget. But I never had symptoms, right? So what I would just always feel bad, because I would test, oh my God, I have COVID. Now I have to call everyone I saw in the last 48 hours and just be like, hey, you might want to get... I always find that weird.
Yeah, it's like when you slept with someone and you find out you have something. It's like, oh no, gotta make the calls.
I was gonna make that joke, but
I mean, I assume for other people. I've never had to do that.
Why tell them? I'd rather let your doctor tell you have the herp than me. Just
They
kidding.
didn't tell me, so I'm not telling them. No, I'm just kidding.
Pay it forward. No. Disclose it up front. So
How
Tampa
was your
Pride,
Tampa
I thought
Pride?
Tampa Pride was good. It's really exciting. Despite whatever. I mean, those gifts where you're eating popcorn and just reading the comments. There's
Yeah.
a lot of that going on right now. I mean,
Oh,
I don't want to ramble off people's first and last names, but there's like 3 threads that are just like people just attacking. Like some people are talking about how bad it was, and then people are defending people, and it's just all kinds of crazy. So that's some juicy stuff. But for me, I just really like prides in general, and it's really about the community. And so this fighting that might be like entertaining to read the comments, it's not doing the community any benefit. Which is why I'm not in it, and which is why I'm not going to talk about any of that on this podcast. But like we're there to support the community of Tampa, to show pride for them, right? And that being successful and great is really what matters. And I just got that energy. Like that's the fun thing. There's certain people that I only see at Pride events. There's people I only see at Tampa Pride. So that's just exciting to be a part of. And I really enjoyed that. And it's just nice too to hand papers out to people, and some it's like it ranges, right? You get some people that are like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Oh, it's a gay newspaper," and they're like, no." But then you'll get the people whose faces like Watermark. Oh yes, like I love Watermark. Let me get it. And like the people that come up and thank you for what you do, and so that's just exciting, and it's just great to be part of that.
Yeah, and it's always about the people.
And that's all that I have to say about that.
All right, Forrest.
Life
That's
is
all
like
I've
a
got to say
Tampa
about that.
Pride. You never know what you're gonna get.
Ain't that the truth?
So I didn't run into traffic issues, honestly. I bet it was one of my favorite times to go to Pride, because we finally after years of doing these things where I just had to go there, walk around, do my booth shift, and go. Like it wasn't like there wasn't this pressure. I mean, I didn't have to be there all day. I didn't have to do all this stuff.
Set everything up.
We got somebody is in charge of that. None of that. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a fan of parade. I like to be in them, but watching a parade is torture. Why would I want to watch a parade?
Yeah.
I get people. There are people who love it. Jen loves a parade. I don't want to.
Yeah.
We go to Disney. Like, oh, let's watch. I don't want to watch that parade. And that's probably one of the more entertaining ones. But like,
yeah, I like a parade that has giant floats and are decorative and colorful. But I mean, once you've seen 1 or 2 parades, you've kind of seen them all.
Right, and when you've been at them for 22 years, you kind of are like, I don't know. Like, I want to watch your corporation of 200 employees that showed up to carry I don't know if throw anybody in the bus, I don't say, but it's just kind of like, okay, yay. I love the support. Support us. Yes, I get it. Parades should start for me.
Yeah.
I probably sound like an old curmudgeon. Like, why do I want to say a parade? I
don't like parades or loud music or kids.
You know what? The gays need to invent something different now. So the gays are having a parade. Let's go. Now let's see. The gays are having a kiki. I could get down with a kiki. Is that still a thing? Do people still have kikis, or do they do something else?
I feel like on one of the things we're going to talk about, a show that we watched, someone mentioned about having a kiki. So if they said it, then it must still be relevant.
Oh yeah, we have to get it. I could talk forever about that. Just to throw out there, I went to see Ghostbusters. I know we're never going to cover it, so I just wanted to say I saw it. I saw most of it. I think I did have to get some things.
Fall asleep.
I did have to get some things clarified. I was exhausted. I only got 6 hours of sleep the night before, and I'm like a 9-hour a night kind of guy. I need it. And then, so I was tired. I got up. I played 2 softball games. We went to see the movie we went to see, which we're going to talk about for 2 minutes. And then I went to see Ghostbusters after that. And so I was just beat and tired, but it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's good. It pays it does that whole homage to the earlier, like the first film and that kind of thing. And I think that's all great. I just think it was a little too much. I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I don't think it's as good as that, but it's good. It's worth the watch. And then I watched
I'll
this
probably
movie.
check it out.
I don't know if we want to talk about this on the podcast, so I won't go too much into it. But have you seen the trailer for Giant Little Ones? I think it's on Amazon.
No.
It's like these two best friends. They've been best friends for life, and they're on the swim team together. And they get wasted at a party, and something happens between them, and then their friendship is gone. And it's about like, you know, um, uh, dealing with those feelings of am I gay, am I not, and then how that all intertwines in their relationship. It's got the guy from Twin Peaks. I know that's an old reference for those. He also played
Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes. He's brilliant in this. I was watching this, like sometimes he does like goofy things, but in this he was good in this. And then I remember the actress's name, but she's in West Wing, and anybody who was in West Wing is a god to me. So she plays this kid's mother in this thing, and she was really good too. It was the best thing that I watched yesterday, and I watched 3 movies. So I'm just gonna say that. And then I ended up, because of what we're gonna talk about later, because we started watching For the Love of DILFs. I picked back up on Go for the Gold, and I don't know why I do this to myself. That's where they're trying to find America's go superstar star.
Yes. Important work they do at Out TV.
All right, so let's jump into this. We went to go see. We decided that we wanted to go to the theater to see something.
Yes. Support the local theater.
So we went to go see Love Lies Bleeding.
Yes. A delightful A24 film.
Which I love to tell people sounds like a period piece.
But bum.
But it's not. It is, actually.
I mean,
it takes place in 1989.
Yes, it. I guess that is a period piece now. That's 30 plus years, 35 years away, or that happened was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a period.
Now, because this is in theaters, how do you want to handle it? Do you want to go into like tell people what happens in it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll give them the basic characters and then just give them the basic plot. Yeah, it just came out a few weeks ago. Based on the 7 people who were in the theater, I'm guessing that it's not going to be in theaters very long. So,
and plus, you want to hear what we have to say about it, and then that's all you'll ever need to know.
Yeah,
I will say this. So we go there to this theater, right? We're going to the theater, and here are the people in the theater. There's you, me, and Jen. There's the 3 of us, and we're sitting in this one row. We're the only people in that row. Directly in front of us are 2 lesbians, and directly behind us are 2 lesbians.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of towards the front of the seating area. Then all the way in the last row is one guy in the middle of the theater.
Single gentleman.
And you just got to wonder, what's his motivation? Why is he there? I don't know. I find it interesting. I guess if we didn't go with you to see it, then
it would have just been me.
Just been you, and then people would have thought you were either going to shoot up the place or shoot up the place.
Maybe he was seeing it for his podcast
or pleasure,
or his pleasure. Sure.
Do you think? I imagine this. I imagine that like the board at Pineapple Healthcare is going to be like, "Oh, we sponsor this podcast now. Let's all listen to it." And this is the one they're listening to. I'm going to get a call on Wednesday. It's going to be like, "Hey, can we?
Why do you hate everything?
We want our check back." Okay, so I looked at who was this was directed by, because I wanted to see if there was
Rose Glass.
If I recognize,
sounds like a fake name.
Yeah, I know. She's in Canada. She's the mother of George Glass. Do you recognize anything that she's done?
No, I didn't look at her. I mean, I glanced at it, but I didn't recognize anything. So
I didn't recognize anything.
Look into it.
And then I thought that tracks. Do you know the girl? So there's this character Daisy, and Daisy's like this. I assume, because I don't think in 1989 that meth was a problem, but I assume that Daisy was like the first meth addict. Didn't you get that
She
impression?
does have some sort of substance abuse problem.
There is a
yes.
substance abuse problem going on in Daisy. She is played. Do you know who that is?
Yes, that is Joni. No, I don't know her.
It's Anna
I don't.
Baryshnikov. She is the
I don't know.
daughter of famed ballet star Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Oh,
I found that fascinating. That's the one thing that I liked about this.
uh, yeah, I have no idea who the ballet person is or his.
You don't know who Mikhail Baryshnikov is?
No.
The famous Russian ballet dancer?
No.
He was even in a movie. He was so famous. He was in an American movie with someone. I think they were fighting crime or something. I don't know. I forget. Kate, I'm going to need you to look up this. Mikhail Baryshnikov fighting crime. No, just see what movie he was in. It was like it was in the 80s. He was very popular. Wow. I feel old.
I don't know.
I'm sure somewhere someone's mother has heard of him, and
I'm sure.
And I'm now I can be compared to people's mothers again. Kristen Stewart, she stars in it. She wasn't bad in this. I didn't think.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I didn't think the acting was bad. It's just a very weird story. Yeah, it's a weird story. But yeah, Kristen Stewart plays Lou. She's the manager of a dirty, gross, disgusting gym. In fact, it opens with her digging shit out of a toilet.
I know. Was that cabbage soup? I'm so glad that you said that, because I wrote down cabbage soup, and then I said, why did I write this down? It must have been because what was in the toilet looked like cabbage soup. It was gross.
Disgusting.
Do you know what I like too about the opening of it? Is for whatever reason, it was this dirty gym where clearly they don't have air conditioning. Yeah. And the whole movie, this is another film that is filmed without air conditioning. That they showed the sign that said "Only losers quit," and I thought, I like that. That's gonna be a good movie. No.
Yeah, it takes place in 1989, and it has a very 1989 feel to it. Like it feels like it was.
Yeah,
dancers. Caitlin put in the chat. I think it's Dancers. Is that the name of the movie he was in?
No. Who else is in it? Is what's his name? Gregory Hines. I feel like Gregory Hines was like a detective. Y'all don't even know who that is, do you?
Also, I know who Gregory Hines is. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll look it up at some point when Jeremy gets talking about something.
All right. So Kristen Stewart, she's the manager of this dirty, gross gym, and she meets Jackie, who's played by Katie O'Brien, who is a bisexual aspiring bodybuilder.
So Katie O'Brien,
she works at Lou's gym, huh?
Katie O'Brien is she's in The Mandalorian. Did she replace the person that got fired for The Mandalorian?
I don't think so. They didn't. I mean, they haven't replaced that character yet. They just kind of don't use her anymore.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway,
but I have not watched the most recent season of The Mandalorian, so I might be wrong. She might have replaced her with her.
So she is a wannabe bodybuilder.
Yes, and she works out at Lou's gym. And everybody's connected in this. So Jackie works at Lou's gym. She also got a job at a firing range bar. I didn't know shooting ranges had bars.
How did she get that job? It's 1989. They could have had anything.
Yeah. So she got that job by sleeping with JJ, who is Lou's brother-in-law. He's married to her sister. And the shooting range is owned by her father, Big Lou. He is also Lou. They are both Lou's.
And Big Lou is played by Ed Harris, who's a great actor.
Yes.
And the husband that she sleeps with in the truck at the beginning
JJ
to get the job
is played by Dave Franco.
The usually very attractive Dave Franco.
There were some choices made for hairstyles for everyone in this movie.
I gotta tell you though,
there is no good hairstyle in this movie.
White Knights. That's it. White Knights. Is Gregory Hines in it? Yeah, see?
Yeah, never saw that.
Oh, man, still got it. Yeah, it wasn't a good movie. So, I don't know, where was I going? Oh, the hair. Right. So
Yes.
I always give Kristen Stewart a hard time, right? I always say like, oh, Kristen Stewart's in this. You know what I've discovered? I actually like Kristen Stewart
Yeah, yeah.
when she has short hair because she's not pulling it behind her ear. And
Mm.
that's the key to success. Her short hair, that did it.
Well, she definitely has some short hair in this one.
What happened to what was Dave Franco's hair? It was like a designed mullet with a rat tail.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like they took every 80s haircut for guys and then put it on one person.
Yeah. It was all of the hairstyles in here are
And what was Ed
choices.
Harris's character? Where they were like, somebody was like, oh, they took a picture to the hairstylist of the Crypt Keeper and said, do this. This is the hair I want.
Yeah. All of it was atrocious. So, of course, with someone that hairstyle. Oh, you're gonna say something?
No. I was gonna say. Also, I feel like I should disclose that I did sleep a little bit during the beginning of this film too.
Yeah, I think that we've come to understand that you sleep through parts of the movies you watch.
Just the beginning, just the parts that make it important to understand the rest.
So if you don't know. You can tell by JJ's hairstyle. He is an abusive husband. He beats his wife. His wife is played by Jenna Maloney. The name sounds familiar, but I cannot tell you what she has been in.
She's
but
been
I know
in.
I've heard the name before.
She was in the second to last Hunger Games. She was one of the people that was trying to keep Katniss alive in the end, but had a real attitude. She was real angry.
Yes. Oh, I just pulled a picture of her when she was younger. Yes, I did not realize that was the same person.
I feel like she was probably in X-Men too at some point. I don't know. I'm making that up.
What did you say?
Was she an X-Men character?
No, you know what I remember? She was the daughter in Stepmom. You remember that movie with Sandra, Susan Sarandon and Julia Roberts?
Movie. That'll make you cry. If that doesn't make you cry, you don't have a heart.
That's true.
You don't have a heart.
So yeah, that's what she was. So yeah, Jenna Maloney plays Beth, the abused wife, who always makes excuses for her husband. So they all go to dinner. So Beth. Oh no, we've skipped the part where Beth and not Beth, Jackie, the bodybuilder, and Lou.
I've seen this movie and I'm already lost.
Yeah. So we'll just hit the highlights. So they're working out the gym, and they're flirting. And this big buff guy comes over and he hits on Jackie. He's like, "Let's go get a drink." And Jackie's like, "No, I'm hanging out with Lou." And he calls Lou a dyke. So she punches him in the face. So he in turn punches Jackie in the face, which this guy is like twice her size. So totally inappropriate. So Lou and Jackie go back into the gym, tell the guys to F off. And Lou offers her steroids, as one does when you're a bodybuilder in the 80s. She's like, I'd really like to give you steroids for free. I
looked it up. 25th anniversary silver, 50th anniversary gold, first date steroids. So she was right on the mark.
Good. So yeah, she gave her the steroids and she's like, "Thanks. Would you like to have sex?" And she's like, "Sure, let's do that." So they do it. And as most lesbian couples, once you give them steroids and have sex, they move in the next day. So Jackie says, "I don't have a place to stay. I was thinking I might just live with you." And she's like, "All right, that works." So they move in with each other.
Hey, I like her style.
Which is super fast.
I like her style. I need a job. I'm going to sleep with this guy. He's going to give me a job here. Yeah. I need a place to stay. I'm going to sleep with her. She's going to give me a place to stay here.
Yeah. So they become a little couple, and they go out to dinner with JJ and Beth. It's like a little double date. And Beth's face is beaten, slapped around a little bit.
What an awkward dinner for him, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, because
there's the wife I beat it up. There's the Herculean. There's the He-Man-esque muscles of this woman that I slept with, and then there's the girl that hates my guts and won't talk to me. So fascinating.
So Lou confronts him when he's going to the bathroom and says, don't hit my sister anymore, or else you'll be sorry." And he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "Oh, by the way, fucked your girlfriend." That's how she got the job. He just nonchalantly just like, "Oh, by the way, did I tell you I slept with her?" Yeah. So take that.
Yeah, he's not a very good guy.
Now, so they Lou and Jackie have an argument, and then they reconcile, and then they have sex again. I will say, anybody who is doesn't like sex in their movies, don't go see this, because there's quite a bit of sex in this between Jackie and Lou.
There's
Sorry,
one
that got me all
scene.
choked up.
There's one scene where, I mean, she gets right up in it.
Yeah. Well, they talk about, she's like, "Show me how you play
up
with yourself."
Yeah, and then she's showing her, and then she's like, "I'm gonna join in," and she's like, her face right in it, going in, and it was just really.
It's very graphic.
And I say that, I don't mean it. I don't mean this any of this in a bad way. I just mean like I said this about the Red, White, and Royal Blue, like that sex scene where you see the prince's knee up by his ear.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap. Like, it's just like it gets really, we're just not used to seeing same-sex scenes that detailed or intense. And so we say graphic,
it felt
mean
very
that in a
much
bad
like Showgirls. The way that Showgirls shot their sex scenes.
Yeah.
Very much how it feels.
Like in the pool.
Yeah. So speaking of Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
So because, and I think that because of Lou confronting JJ, he takes it out on Beth and puts her in the hospital. And if you thought her face looked beat at dinner, she looked like half of her face was swole.
She looked like she could have been one of Cher's kids in Mask.
I see what you. Yeah. Yes.
My references are 80s, by the way.
and it's apropos for this movie.
Yeah.
So Lou is obviously upset, and she's with her sister, and Jackie decides, I am going to help out my girlfriend by beating the shit out of murdering her brother-in-law.
This is the first example, by the way, that you get to see that there's something about this film that's nutty. So she's sitting there in the chair while Lou is like, I can't believe this. There's nothing like this is terrible, and I love my sister, and I can't believe this happened. And so she's getting riled up, right, in the chair. What's her name again?
Jackie.
She's getting riled up, and she squeezes the chair, and then they get a close-up of her muscle, and her muscle just pops up. Like
the veins are bulging, the muscles are popping.
Like Hulk-esque, you know? And it's like, and then she gets in her car and says, now that scene where she beat up this dude was awesome.
Hulk smash. That's what she did.
Hulk smash. And like, he turns around, he didn't know she was in the house, he turned around, and she just, bam! But... Want to tell him what happened?
Yeah.
So she punches him.
This is the main scene why you would go see this movie.
Now, I've already told you there were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in this theater. That's it. And it's not one of the big ones. It's like a small theater. There's 8 of us. Yeah. So it's like watching a movie in a library. Like, if you react at all to what's happening, everyone's going to know it. And so this should become a segment of this podcast. How did Jen react? That should be the segment. Because last time she laughed about that poor lady who was crying in her car. So she's beating him up, slams him into the coffee table, and it completely dislodges the lower half of his face.
Rips his face right off.
The only thing holding his face together is his cheek. It's like flopping like this, right? His teeth are all over here in his face. And Jen's reaction was just like, it was some horror, a fright. She's the only one that reacted in the theater. She's like, ah! And that made me laugh, and we just laughed for a little bit. And I was trying not to laugh because I thought these people in front of us or behind us might be enjoying this movie immensely, and I'm just laughing. But it was so graphic. And then he's just laying there, and his jaw's laying over here.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. And then, anybody that comes into the room afterwards, they just look down and like, holy crap. And it's just this guy's face mangled.
Yeah.
Good times.
So Lou comes and helps. She finds out what Jackie did and helps her to get rid of the body. They roll up in the carpet. They unroll it out of the carpet when they realize it won't all fit into JJ's trunk. So they stick the body in the trunk. Lou takes JJ's car, and Jackie takes Lou's truck.
What did they do with the carpet?
I was thinking the
They
same
never
thing.
addressed
that
that.
bloody carpet's just sitting in the garage still.
That's got your DNA all over it, and then now you've got this thing, and then obviously she did so much work like cleaning up all the blood and everything else that was around to just leave the carpet there. No.
Yeah. So they're driving out to the desert. This whole place. This all takes place in New Mexico. I don't know if we mentioned that, but they drive out to the desert, and they're going to ditch JJ and his car into this ravine. But on their way there,
is that the technical term for what that is?
Is
that the technical term for what that is in nature? Is that a ravine?
Yeah, a ravine.
Because I've never seen anything like that. It's just a crack. It looks like there was an earthquake, and it's just a crack that goes all the way to the Earth's core. I find it fascinating. I haven't really explored the West Coast, so I find that I want to go visit it now because I think that is crazy.
Yeah. Do you have a body to get rid of?
By the time I get there, I might.
So they're stopped at a red light, and it just so and these are the kind of things in these movies that annoy me. So just at that moment, the one person whom in this town happens to be at that red light, and she comes stumbling over, and she's like, it's Daisy, the meth head lesbian who's in love with Lou. And she's like, what are you doing in JJ's car? Why is she in your car? What's going on? And she's all like, hey, I'll go on a date with you tomorrow. Just get the fuck away. So she's obviously now knows something's up. And they go out to the ravine. They dump the car with JJ in the trunk. They dump it in the ravine and then after they had doused it in gasoline, throw a Molotov cocktail down there, set it ablaze. And then they leave. So apparently her father, Big Lou, is involved in some criminal activity. And Little Lou, Lady Lou, says that the cops will see the smoke and they're going to find things down there that are going to lead them to Big Lou and kind of divert attention away from them.
Do you ever hear the commercial? You probably don't, because I have Sirius XM radio, and so I think I hear different commercials on the radio than most places do. But you ever hear the Big Lou commercials? It's all I can think of when you say Big Lou. Like, Big Lou's like you. He's divorced too. He's a divorced lawyer.
Interesting. Is it this Big Lou? Because this Big Lou's divorced too.
I don't know. And then if you keep saying Big Lou like that, it's gonna make me laugh because it sounds funny in my head. Big Lou. It's like a humongous igloo. It's Big Lou.
Nice. So they get back to
Thanks for going on that journey with me.
And Lou's like, hey, we need to lay low. And Jackie's like, no, I got to get to Vegas. I got a bodybuilding competition to get to. And Lou's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And you never say that's not a good idea to somebody who is the Hulk. So Hulk gets all raged out again and then hits Lou, like headbutted her. And she's like, I'm going to Vegas. And she storms out of the house and hitchhikes to Vegas. Murdered this guy, smashed his head in, and all she wants to do is get to Vegas, do her competition. So it's really weird. This is the part of the movie that was, there's a lot of part that made me like, what? So she leaves. So Lou starts dating Daisy to keep her mouth quiet.
Well, she hooks up with her and then goes to breakfast with her.
And then goes to They do date things. They kiss, they canoodle, and all to keep her quiet. She's like, you're not going to tell anybody, are you?
I guess it is dating because, Jackie moved in on day one. Now they're married to Daisy on day one.
These lesbians move very quickly.
All of a sudden, Daisy's like, why is she talking to you? Like,
So Jackie is in Vegas. She's doing her thing. She's all roided out. She's in her competition. And then she's starting to have like hallucinations, and she sees like she vomits up Lou, and Lou like looks at her and she's like, "You're fat" or something. I forget what she said. She said something about her body. And she's like screaming, and then they cut to
Yeah.
like the real life. What?
You're gonna just roll over that statement. She vomited up Lou. Like,
Yeah.
she started heaving, and this
Mhm.
person came out of her mouth. Much like, it reminded me of Poor Things when the guy's burping, and he's like, and that bubble comes out.
Oh, the bubble.
But the whole human being came out and was like in this gross, vomity saliva mess on the stage talking to her after that. And I'm just like, what is this movie about? Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a hallucination, so that I could buy into a little more. Like, oh, she's having roid hallucination. Which, do you hallucinate on steroids? I thought you just freaked out.
I don't.
I know you saw hallucination.
I don't. I did 3 bottles this morning, and I haven't had one hallucination.
See?
No, I don't. I
don't
know. I would Google it, but I'm afraid that my Google search is already colorful enough.
That's true. So it cuts back to real life, and she has not vomited Lou out. She's just vomited vomit.
By the way, according
to
Caitlin, yes, you can hallucinate on
steroids. Oh, all right. And so she gets embarrassed and is hallucinating that everyone is laughing at her. Also that they have like these weird faces. So then she beats the shit out of one of the bodybuilders and goes to jail.
She just starts throwing punches like crazy. She's tearing people up.
Yeah, she's lost it. She's gone crazy. So Big Lou comes and bails Jackie out of jail. And he's like, since I did this for you, I need you to do me a favor. And I need you to go kill Daisy. Because you've already killed several people. So why stop there?
Probably my favorite scene was the kill Daisy scene.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and talk about the Daisy scene?
It's just that they're ending their date, and I guess she's getting Daisy packed to ship her out of town or something. I don't really know how this all is going. I just know that she's like, get packed, and she's like, okay, we're gonna go in here, and they open the door to go into her place. Lou goes in first. Lady Lou goes in first, and Daisy's behind her, and she turns around and they're talking, and then all of a sudden, it looks like she bad grandpa'd her face because it was brown, not red. That
did not look like blood or body parts. I thought someone hit her with a bag of shit.
That's what I said, like in Bad Grandpa. You know that movie when he's pretending to fart and he ends up like splattering the whole wall.
I've never seen Bad Grandpa.
Oh God! So you didn't get that reference, and you're like, Rick's lost it again. He should just stop the caffeine, Rick. No, it's like he's having this fart game with this kid, and he stands up like he's gonna fart real hard, and it just splatters over the entire wall. It's like horrific, gross. So anyway, that's what I thought of when that splatter. Also, I kind of thought about Jurassic Park when there's that dinosaur that spits. And it poisons him. I was like, did she poison her? Did she shit on her? What happened? But no, she falls to the ground, and there you see Jackie holding a gun. She blew her body parts all over Lou.
And then she runs off, leaving Lou to get rid of yet another body. This is not the kind of relationship you want to be in.
Once you start to get the hint here that maybe Lou did this for her father, and because she knew what to do.
Yeah.
She cleaned her up.
She used to be kind of like in the family business.
Yeah.
And then that's why she doesn't talk to her dad anymore, because she got out of the business.
And then while she's cleaning up, the FBI shows up.
Yes.
So she rolls
has to
her
stick
up
the body wrapped in a carpet behind her couch.
Jen said this. She goes, "Good thing they all have big rugs." Because there's always a place to roll a body up. And she sticks it behind the couch and brings the FBI guys in. She's having a conversation with the FBI guys, and then the cat goes over and starts licking the blood off the ground. What a weird show.
Yeah. So Jackie goes back to Big Lou's house, and he comes out from behind the door, knocks her out, and ties her up, and gives Lou a call, and basically is going to turn Jackie over to the authorities and say she killed all these murders. They're Jackie's fault. To basically get him and Lady Lou all um, out of the suspicions of the police. So Lady Lou is not happy with that and says, "You're not going to frame Jackie. I love her. That's my woman." So she says, "I'm going to tell the FBI, the feds, about everything you've done." And she alludes to the fact that he killed her mother, and that he is responsible for many a death.
Might I just say this? Because you said something when you said that Lou loved Jackie. Jackie also loved Lou, right? So when Jackie thought Lou was cheating on her with Daisy, she almost wanted to kill what's her face. So after she kills Daisy and she runs off, she does one of the weirder things in this show. And I'm just going to give this advice to you guys. Sure. Do not ever call a child and say this to a child. So she goes to a payphone, because in 89, those were still around. And she goes to a payphone and she calls some number, which you assume is like her family or something. You don't know much about her backstory. So none of this makes sense in the context of this whole show. And the little kid answers the phone. And she's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Aunt Jackie." And she's like, "How are you?" And then he's like, "Hey, Aunt Jackie." Then she goes, "Listen to me. Never fall in love." Okay, Aunt Jackie. And then the kid's mom gets on the phone and is like, "Never call here again." And then hangs up the phone. So it's just a weird thing. Like, oh, I'm going to call a child right now and tell them never fall in love ever for the rest of your life. And that's it. I mean, what if this
And her sister's like, "Don't call here. We're a house who loves love."
I need to know. I need there to be a follow-up movie about this kid. And I need to know, did he tell his mom what his aunt had said? Did they reconcile that with him? Or did he go, "Nope, somebody would have asked him out on a date. I can't. My Aunt Jackie said never fall in love.
My Aunt Jackie said no love.
So I won't." And now this poor kid lives an entire life of no love because this roided out woman that just murdered 2 people called and told him not
Jackie.
to. Come on, Jackie.
Damn you.
Suck it, Jackie. All right, anyway,
where were we?
And then the movie gets weird.
And Lady Lou is now worried Big Lou. So Big Lou sends the sheriff, who is in his back pocket. It's one of his lackeys, sends over to kill Lady Lou. But Lady Lou ends up shooting him. And she's like, "That's it. I'm going to Dad's house and we're going to have our final battle." So she gets her gun and she gets her lesbian hairdo on and she gets in her pickup truck and she heads over to the dad's house, which is a nice house. It's got a nice big house.
Another one of my favorite parts, like I love so many stupid things in the movie, is when she shows up, Big Lou's current wife and children are rushing to the car and she's putting the kids in the car and she looks at Lou and she's like, "You ruined everything." Like, why are these characters part of this movie?
Yeah, there's a lot of those characters. Like, there's no backstory or anything. Yeah. We just get a glimpse and we're like, "Oh, that's his wife." And she's like, "I hate you." And it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we won't learn why she hates her." So she goes in the house and she finds out. Well, how did she find out that Jackie was on the courts?
Remember because somebody told her. Who was it that told her?
Who told her? I can't remember.
Oh, it was the sister.
Oh, that's right. She was talking to the sister was in the house.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I can't believe you did that to my husband." And she's like, "Bitch, we saved you."
Right?
So she's like, "Where's my girlfriend?" And she's like, "She's on the tennis courts."
Oh, and then she squeezes her gnarly face.
Oh, she squeezes the like, bruise on her. Ugh. Ugh. She's like, "You like violence? I'll give you violence."
Right?
So she goes out and she unties Jackie and says, "Take off. I'm going to go kill my father." So she goes, we'll meet up. Just take off. So she goes running and Lou goes looking for her dad and Big Lou shoots Lady Lou in the leg and she falls down. And he's standing over with the gun and he sticks his finger in her bullet hole wound.
Ugh.
And he's like torturing her and he's about to kill her. And Jackie can hear the screaming. And she's like, I got to go save my lady. So you see that roid rage again. The veins bulge, the muscles expand, but like they get larger.
I just want to point out for
Yeah.
everyone listening, you have no idea what he's about to say next. You have no idea what's coming. Like,
Yeah. Think about how this movie would end. Like in your head, walk through, okay, she's roided out. Is she going to run over there and break his face open too? Is she going to drop kick him? Is she going to shoot him?
She has known this girl for at least 36 hours, and she is madly in love with her, and her father is about to kill her, and she's like, I'm going to do something. You have no idea how this goes down.
So she comes over, and I don't know, a 20-foot Jackie? I think 20 feet is good. She's a giant Jackie. She
starts running, and her clothes start ripping off of her, and you think Hulkish, but no, it's not Hulkish. It's like freakish, where she becomes so tall and big that
she's like a literal giant.
Is in the clouds.
Yes. And she comes over and she grabs Big Lou and slams him down and like crushes his limbs and pins him down.
He pins it and grabs his arms
like
and stretches
stretching him and then slams him down. And then Lou gets up and puts a gun in his mouth, and she decides not to pull the trigger. She's like, the cops are coming and they'll deal with you. So then they take off.
Running.
But then they're both giant, and they're running through the clouds. I don't know how they both got giant.
You know those things that you get, and they're like in little capsules, and you put them in water, and then it just grows and grows and grows. Yeah, that's what they became. And they're running, and the sky, the galaxy is behind them, and the clouds are going by their faces. And then, this is the only. By the way, I took that note about the cabbage soup. My next note is really just how did they fit in the truck afterwards, because they're like ginormous beings, and then they're in the truck driving.
I'm pretty sure they shrunk back down to fit in the truck. So they're driving in the truck.
It got cold.
Jackie is exhausted from all the steroids. So she's napping, and Lou's driving, and she hears movement in the back of the truck. It's like, oh, what is that? They have Daisy's body back there, and Daisy is alive.
Apparently, having your insides blown all over someone's face isn't enough to kill you, nor will you bleed out from daytime to nighttime.
Yes, because it's been well over a day. So Lou goes back there, and you think she's going to unwrap her and be like, oh my God, you're still alive. She chokes her to death. She's like, no, you can't be alive. And she wraps her hand around her neck, and she kills her again. And then rolls her back up in the carpet.
You got to
drags her out in the desert.
That was very
lights
much
up
like
a cigarette.
That was a lot like how Christopher went down in Sopranos, and that you gotta respect that move.
It's an old classic. That's a classic move.
That's the end of the show. That's it.
Yeah, and that's how it ends.
I gotta say, if you like this movie, good for you. I mean, you gotta really get into this, suspending, disbelief, and because the movie starts off like a normal movie, but then it just derails into this craziness that is just unbelievable fantasy. So maybe that's just it. Is like I don't know what the point of it is. But so
this film went through like 6 genres, because it starts off like a sports movie, and then it goes into like this love movie, then it's this thriller, into this science fiction movie. They couldn't decide what genre, so they just did all of them.
When they were running and the clouds are going by them, I was picturing like Falcor and Atreyu in the Neverending Story flying around, and I was like, I kind of dug that, but it's just so weird,
Yeah.
Anyway,
definitely a weird movie.
So good for you if you get into it. It wasn't really for me. I will never watch this movie again. If somebody says, "Do you want to watch Naked Boy Singing 3 more times or watch this 1 more time?" I'm gonna have to go with Naked Boy Singing. This was not a movie I enjoyed. Although I thought Kristen Stewart was great in it. I thought the
actors did great with what they were given.
I don't understand. Sometimes I watch a movie and I'm like, how did they get Ed Harris to do this? Well, not every, like,
A favor.
I mean,
This had to have been a favor.
I can see how Dave Franco got roped into it. I'm a fan of Dave Franco, by the way.
Yeah.
Or at least the films that he's in. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you think Rotten Tomatoes was on this?
This seems like a weird movie like critics would be into. So I'm gonna say critics 84 and audiences like 59.
I would agree with you. I would think that would be the case. But let me blow your mind. Critics 93.
What?
Yes. And audiences 81.
What?
Yeah. I think now I know. We got to give Caitlin a second to compose herself. She's in shock. The I think sometimes I don't know. It's like these. Nah, I'm trying to find the right words to say it, but I think it's just kind of like oh, this is an interesting take in this artistic visualization of this lesbian relationship, and so we're gonna give it a high rating, instead of like, I mean, with LGBTQ plus movies or like, or what I may say, Killers of the Flower Moon, that because it's groundbreaking in a sense of its coverage, people tend to rate it higher than maybe it deserves. I don't know.
My theory is there are two types of people who watch films: film students and film fans. So film students, and you don't necessarily have to be like go to school for film, but that kind of uppity film studenty. I like this movie because it had themes of love and redemption. And then explain the giants running through the clouds. Oh, well, that's a metaphor of our love for capitalism. No, it's stupid.
I know somebody who would describe anything they watch in a way like that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Those kind of people are the ones who reviewed this. They're like film students. And then you have film fans who just want to enjoy a movie. I don't need you to get weird and freaky with it. Just tell me a good story.
Yeah,
if the story has weird and freaky stuff in it, then great.
Be consistent about it. If you're going to be weird and freaky, be weird and freaky. I'm cool with that. Like Poor Things, weird and freaky. I've actually come to like Poor Things. It's
a movie that grows on you.
In the sense of critiquing it, I've come to like it. I'm still not going to watch it again, but I won't say bad things about it. I think like it's after the Oscars, I was like, you know what, that's it probably did deserve all of that. This, I don't think you'll see this on the Oscar list.
No. There's this movie. It came out a few years ago that has Jake Gyllenhaal in it, and he plays himself and like his twin or like a lookalike, and he's an actor and he's trying to figure out who this guy is. And it's one of those kind of like twisty turny movies. And at the very end, he's going through the apartment and he goes into the back bedroom and there's a giant like 12-foot spider. And then the movie ends. That's what this movie reminded me of. Like, you had this story, this intriguing story that you're trying to keep me up on. And then at the end, it's just this weird, stupid shit that you want me to walk out of the theater thinking like that was deep.
Are you sure it wasn't it?
No. I'm going to find the name of the movie. It is such a weird movie.
It's a lot like that, right? There's just a weird, huge spider in the end of the movie, right?
Yes, but you would expect there to be like giant monsters and creatures. This was like a thriller drama, and then this giant spider just pops up at the end and then cut to credits.
Now I'm going to need to see this. I'm going to need to see it.
I will find the title of it for you.
Yeah. So now I wasn't a big fan of it, but I'll be one of those film student. I did take a film in film is an art form. I took that in college.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. I love that there is this like raw lesbian film that isn't about the trauma of being a queer person. There's definitely trauma in it, but it's just because,
but it's not tied to their sexuality. Yeah.
I won't say they just like they had drama, but it wasn't
just
tied
go
to that.
in knowing that it is a kooky film.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out.
Check it out.
Like I said, it came out a few weeks ago. It hasn't been out very long, but it didn't do really good box office wise. So
Critics
I
loved
anticipate
it.
this will be streaming somewhere very soon.
I know. Jen, when we left, Jen looked at me and she goes, "Oh, like we couldn't have waited 1 week and watched that at home." which is what's gonna happen, right? All right, so let's talk. So we're gonna move on to the thing, but I know that we've been going on for a while, and it's so maybe what we'll do is we'll just kind of talk about the cast of characters in this next thing, and then we can kind of catch people up on the storyline of it later
Next
on.
week.
Next week, yeah. Because so what we decided to do is I was thinking about the shows that we talked about at the beginning of the year, and we said these are the things that we're looking forward to, right? And we included some things that we're not actually looking forward to, but since we lied to you and told you that we were looking forward to them, we figured now we have to go and watch them.
I think we were looking forward to this until we saw the DILFs and himbos, and then we're like, maybe not so much.
So, For the Love of DILFs, which is on Out TV. Out TV, by the way, is just a treasure trove of hate watchable material. Yeah. And I know we've talked about it before. We covered every episode of So Fierce that Gidget Galore was on. We love Gidget, so we wanted to cover that. But now we've got For the Love of Dill season 2 came out. Now I had the pleasure, and I will say pleasure, of surprising pleasure of watching season 1, which actually had like, you know, these, they call them himbos, and they're like these young, good-looking guys that want a daddy. So the daddies are the DILFs that have the money, and they want a young, you know, stallion to share their life with.
They're older, established men, and they're looking for their little male bimbo. Yeah. I looked it up. Definition of himbo in dictionary.com is an attractive but unintelligent man.
Well, that is, there is one on this season that is 100% that definition. Yes. So you know, in season 1, it was just fun to watch, like real relationships developed out of this. Real like people made real connections. There were people who didn't, and you know, when you get like these himbos, which they say are attractive, not intelligent guys, you get them all together, and it's a competition. The cattiness is off the charts, and so that there was that in the first season, but it got through that pretty quickly, and then they had these exercises and things to do. That was good. So the show is hosted by Stormy Daniels, yes, which is delightful because she will work in digs at Donald Trump every now and then, which is great. She'll talk about the Orange Man or something like that, and it cracks me up. She was in this one of the episodes that we had to watch. She was talking about somebody having a small penis, and she said, you know, like our former president, and then she laughed, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to." So that was kind of funny. So, but she hosts the show. I guess the concept is this, right? You got Dr. DILF, who you never see, but he's always that voiceover that these reality dating shows have. So he's a voiceover. She's the host. They bring in himbos. They bring in DILFs. They match them up. They go on dates. They try to say, but they see if they can make connections. Now, it is a competition, so there's little games that they play. And then depending on how it works out, either the himbo picks a DILF at the end of the show, or a DILF picks a himbo at the end of the show. Last himbo standing, last DILF standing gets sent home. But throughout the episodes, they introduce new himbos, new DILFs to make the competition go. So that's the gist of the show, right? Yeah. Now, you didn't watch season 1, but I wrote down immediately season 2 starts and you see Stormy Daniels, and I said, oh, they upped the budget. They must have had viewers for season 1 because she did look good right off the bat. But then the show went on and she talked more, and I was like, wow, they didn't spend that money on a writer now, did they? So it's just fascinating to me, the fake rage, the fake drama when she gets mad because somebody quit the show and she has that fake rage. It's just all, she's like, all
I'm mad. You know who she reminded me of? And Ryan, if he watches this or listens to this, he's going to love this. It reminded me of when Britney Spears tries to act. Like, acting is not your wheelhouse.
No. knife dancing is. If she was a character on Jumanji, it would say strengths, knife dancing.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about the people. You want to do that? Can we go through the list and talk about them?
Yeah.
And
Let's start with the DILFs.
Okay. Do you have it pulled up, like the list of them? Because I wrote down.
Yeah.
I actually started with the himbos because that's how they introduced them, but I didn't get everybody's name. So if you want to start with the DILFs, we can do that.
Okay.
And we'll give our first impressions of them. So what they did is they brought the himbos out, right? And then they blindfolded the himbos, and then they brought out the DILFs. And the himbos then went over and could touch and taste and do whatever they wanted to the DILFs, and then they had to pick the one based on not seeing them but feeling them or whatever that they wanted to do, and then that's how
you could feel them, you could smell them, you could taste them.
All right, so you're blindfolded and you're going through and you're feeling up DILFs. The first DILF to get felt up was Sal.
Big Sal.
Big Sal.
First impression, he is creepy. Now, later on in the episodes that I watched, he got a little better, but right off the bat, he is a creepy old man who's talking about just wanting some tiny little twink.
He's so aggressive.
Yes.
So he's like this, it's tiny compared to everybody else on the show. And the first person to come and pick him or feel him is like this 6 foot tall dude to this, 5'5" guy.
6'4".
Or 6'4" to this 5'5" guy. But he was like jerking him around and like, it was just all very aggressive. My first impression is just based off of seeing him before he got all aggressive like that. He definitely seems like a DILF. His face is as nip tucked as it could possibly be. You could tell he got his lip fillers right before he had to go onto the show, and you could tell this guy is probably somebody who has money, and you can tell right away that he's a DILF. So that's Big Sal.
Then we have Kane, who is a bald Aussie, who might be shorter than Big Sal. He's a little fella.
Yes.
I think he seems nice. His tattoos on his chest and his stomach look like a weird treasure map, but other than that, I thought he seemed nice.
Yes, he definitely seems nice. He's not like, he doesn't come across as the dominating daddy type. He's like just an older guy who is looking for love, and he seems like a nice, genuine kind of daddy type, but not a bossy daddy, even though he's an Aussie bald. A bossy.
Then we have Luders. Ludays?
It's Luder,
I don't know
right?
How you
or Luders.
That.
Yeah, Luder.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you think at first sight that he was like 20 years old?
Yeah, he, of all of the daddies, looked the least daddy-like.
He looked, I wrote that he should be a himbo, not a DILF.
Yeah. So, he, right off the bat, he seemed nice. I mean, later on in the episodes, we learned he's a bit of a dominant guy, and likes to tell people what to do, or tell his himbos what to do.
That is a fake manufactured problem.
Yeah.
That's one thing that really bothers me about the show. It happened in season 1 where there was this guy who doesn't have English isn't his first language, and he matched up with this DILF who was a porn star. And so he said, what he was saying to this guy is, I don't have a lot of experiences working with people who are in the sex worker field, and everybody has a bad opinion. Like in general, people have a bad opinion of sex workers, and I want to help people understand that there's no reason to have that. That's what he was saying, and immediately the DILF was like, "I'm sorry, you have a problem with what I do for work. I can't I can't be like that. Then everybody else jumps on this guy and says, how dare you question him? And it's like, he wasn't questioning you, but they needed drama. So they faked this situation. And it really, I got into that show and it irritated me. So this was manufactured because he was like, it could go like this. Hey, I brought some silk pajamas for you to wear later on to this party. And he's like, well, I'm not one of my other pajamas that I brought. And then, right, that was him, Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear my other pajamas. And then, so then he's like, they meet up later and he's like, well, you saw I didn't wear your pajamas, so were mine. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. But, if you wanted to wear them sometime, that would be cool too. Don't be telling me what to do, man. And it's like, that's not what was happening. He just said, if you want to wear them, wear them. Anyway, what? You'll get it when you watch it.
Yeah. It's you can tell that the producers of this show are not as well versed with reality shows as maybe some of the reality shows like on the networks where they have experience of kind of cutting this drama.
Yeah.
Their drama is very it's not as finessed as say like Big Brother or Survivor or some of the other ones out there.
Yeah. So who's the next daddy?
Next daddy is Nigel, who is a big bald bear, who is self-conscious about his size. He's a larger gentleman, and he seems nice.
I love Nigel. I'm just gonna say it.
He seems wonderful.
I like him. He does seem. He seems younger. I wrote that he seems younger than. There's a himbo whose name is Keese. I think.
Keese, yeah.
I think Nigel to me, Keese looks like older than the DILFs, but he's not. Apparently.
Yeah, some of them look like they're on the edge of himbo and DILF. And then the last one from the first episode is Jimmy, who is there. He is the least noticeable person there. He is, if you've ever seen Chicago, he is Mr. Cellophane. He is unseen by most people.
You know what I wrote out? I was like, is he daddy or dad body? Like,
oh yeah. He's a little ginger.
He's a nice guy.
Seems like a nice guy, but does not have the personality of the other fours that kind of stand out. Each one of the other fours kind of fall into a personality that makes them stand out. Jimmy's just kind of there amongst the crowd.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the himbos next. So I'm just going to tell you who picked. So he didn't get picked. Jimmy didn't get picked. He got saddled with.
Matched.
So what they did is they drew people's names out of a hat, and if they called your name, you get to go pick. And so everybody like feels up all the daddies and picked all the daddies. Jimmy was the last one that no one picked. Yeah. And the only thing that the DILFs could say was, "I'm your daddy." That's all they could say. And they couldn't say anything else. And then, so no one picked Jimmy, and Keese was the last one drawn, and they are like opposites, right? And so they just say, "Oh, well, we're the last ones, and we're gonna do this." So then they go on dates, and so there's Jimmy and Keese, and they're sitting there talking to each other, and they do not like each other at all. And Jimmy says to Keese, later on tonight, do you want to talk more later on tonight? And Keese goes, no. And Jimmy's like, oh, good. I didn't want to either. We're going to go find other people. This is not what we want to do. They go back to the room. They get in the elevator and they start going at it, like making out with each other, like slobbering all over each other. And then they like go hook up and then they stay together for it's the weirdest thing because they were like, we don't want anything to do with each other, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we want to be with each other. All right, so Keese is
with Jimmy, and then we have Rico, who is borderline daddy. He's got kind of a little dad bod.
He's like, think of it like he reminds me of like a chubby Carlton.
Yeah.
Or the guy who plays Carlton now on America's Funniest Home Videos. No, he's look, it happens to all of us when you get older. You just blow it out. It's all good. But he seems like a nice guy. I like Rico.
Yeah, and he pairs up with he likes bigger guys. He likes bears. So
Yeah.
when he's filling up Nigel, he's like grabbing his love handles and belly, and he's all about it.
You can tell because they do this thing where they talk about their type of person that they like, and you can tell from Rico's description when all the daddies walked out, you're like, he's gonna pick Nigel.
Yeah.
And he did, and it was a great match. So.
And then your favorite, I'm sure, Daniel, who has long black silky hair, and he is matched up with Looters. And we talked about that a little bit. He's the one who said, I brought silk pajamas. Would you wear them? And Daniel said, no, I brought my own pajamas. And
I think Daniel said, no, I brought my own
he has
pajamas.
a very weird speaking voice.
I
don't know if it's
this
an
was
accent
Capote.
or if he has a speech impediment.
Or
he just loves Truman Capote.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Now, look, I know that we're on the verge of like pissing off a lot of people because what I gather, right, is that he's an influencer who has a big fan base. So I don't want to say the wrong thing to upset that fan base. I feel like it's not an accent or a speech impediment or anything. I think that this is a creation of his. That's like, much like Phoebe in Friends when she meets Crapbag's family. And she's like, oh, this is how I'm going to talk to make them like me. So I think this is just a character that he's invented. And that's how they talk. Unless,
yeah, I don't like it.
It is so hard for me to listen to. Now, I don't want to step on anything and give it away, but, it reminds me of, do you remember Milli Vanilli?
Yes.
Do you remember what they sounded like when they sang the actual song and it didn't sound good? In my mind, he is half of Milli Vanilli, and that accent just sort of breaks. Now, I could be wrong. I'll look into it, and if I am wrong, I will certainly apologize, because I certainly don't want to shame somebody for an accent, for something from where they come from. But it sounds like an act. You know, it kind of sounds like, I wrote this down. It sounds like if Stewie from Family Guy was doing drag, this is how he would talk.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah.
So they're paired up, and then at least for me, probably the most attractive of the himbos from the first group, Nick, who is attractive until he opens his mouth, is paired up with Kane. He, more than anyone else of the himbos, refuses to use anybody's name and refers to all of the DILFs as my daddy and your daddy. Don't be looking at my daddy. That's my daddy. You look at your daddy. They have names, Nick. Anyway, he's pretty until he opens his mouth. But they're paired up, the Aussie and Nick. And then that leaves Aaron, 6'4". They call him, or he says his friends call him Gay Jesus. He's got the long hair and the beard. And he's very hippie-like. And he is paired up with Big Sal, whom within the first couple of episodes, you realize that Big Sal is looking for a go-go dancer style twink. That's his go-to is a twink who dances on a box and has abs and is hairless and is like, oh my God, how you doing, daddy? I love you so much. That's what he's looking for. So Aaron doesn't really match up with him.
Yeah, so that's the cast of characters as it sets up. That's from the beginning. Now, it does introduce new daddies and new himbos. So there is
new himbos and new daddies.
And I will anticipate that every daddy that has entered the house since this cast of characters, are probably your favorite people on the show.
I will say, and I'm sure they did this on purpose, the people they introduce along the way are more attractive than the people who are in the house in the beginning. I'm sure they do that on purpose.
It has to be. Right?
Because they just graduate. And then because we watched the first 4 episodes, at the end of the 4th episode, they're like, here's the new daddy and the new himbo. And they walk out and they're both very muscular and very pretty.
Yeah. And we haven't met them yet. We haven't met them.
We haven't met them yet. We just see them at the very end.
But there is one, and I will say this: one of the very first new himbo they introduced is Daniel's twin
brother Derek,
who also talks weird. Who is the other half of the
Milli Vanilli
analogy? They're identical twins, and they both talk the same. There's this, and they're on Instagram, and so I keep sharing this clip of them, and I tell people like we're going to talk about them, but you've got to. When I say they talk weird, here's the
they're when they're doing the interviews, because like when these type of reality shows, they always cut to the interview room. I have brothers. I don't have a twin brother, but I have brothers. And there is no way I would be talking in an interview cuddled up and canoodling with my brother the way that they do. It's very creepy and very off-putting to me. They're like got their arms wrapped around each other and they're like stroking each other's arms and they're like, oh, it's weird.
No, I
don't think brothers are supposed to act that way.
You stay away from my daddy. That's my daddy.
Your daddy?
Girl, I don't want your
like
daddy.
daddy.
I have my own
like
daddy. Oh, he's delicious.
But they like pet each other's face and they stroke each other's arms and they like cuddle up with each other. It's just weird to me. Maybe I don't have a close relationship with my siblings, but it's creepy to me. I'm afraid to see where I think they're going to choose each other by the end of the show.
What's the brother's name? It's Daniel and what?
Daniel and Derek.
I'm just trying to figure out because I want to clear this up right now. If there's something wrong in there, if they have a speech impediment or something that they have had since birth,
it would be weird that both of them have the same speech impediment.
Well, I mean,
right?
but they're twins, so they could if they were like maybe there's something about the ear. Daniel and Derek.
Yeah.
No, Daniel and
Derek.
Let's see what it says about their voice, if it says anything. That's just their YouTube page.
How many YouTube followers do they have?
Let me go to it and see. They're the Hart Twins. HART. Oh, good for them. They have 1.66K.
1.66K?
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't we have more than that?
Not on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe on
Facebook? We have 2. No, it was a joke because we get a couple of thousand people that listen to every episode, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So if you're listening to this, you are on our team. And if their fans come for us, you all stick by us and you fight for us on social media.
So what we're going to do, we've watched the first 4 episodes. So we're introducing you to the cast of characters. And then next week, we'll go through the first 8 episodes. And then we'll follow up with unless there's only 9.
Finale. Because I think that it's like the 9 and 10 are the final 2 episodes, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, so we'll follow up next week with like what happens in it. But we just want to give you the cast of characters. If it sounds interesting to you, if it sounds like you'd love to hate watch it, doesn't sound interesting, watch it. And then follow on with us next week.
I hate the premise of this show. It sounds terrible. As soon as we hang up here, I'm going to go watch episode 5 and 6.
Yeah, I'm in it, right?
Yeah.
And that I just want to say to you, like the first season was whatever you feel like this season, the first season was actually really good. The one thing I
might go back and watch it.
The thing I don't like about it is that in my head now is daddy, go, daddy, go, daddy.
Yeah.
That is
crazy. Such an earworm. I was humming it all last night.
Right. And it's the same with the other one. That's go for the gold. Not so fierce though. So the thing, every episode ends the same way. And it ends with this like horrible conversation between Stormy Daniels and Dr. DILF. And but instead of doing the Dr. DILF voiceover, it's like through the phone and it's like
very
so
Deal
obnoxious.
or No Deal sounding.
Yeah. And right. I forgot about that. And then she ends the call every time with, okay, I got to go. Send nudes. And that's the end of the episode.
That's every so time. Stormy.
Oh, Stormy. Hey, get me every time. And
good for her, though. In one of I forget which episode it was, she talks about how she found love, and that's why she's doing this show to help gays find love. Good for her.
I will appreciate that, right? And that seemed genuine, and so that was kind of
Yeah.
cool. But the things that you can tell are written that they give people to say, they don't. Like one guy said about Stormy Daniels, he was like, "Damn girl, where you going later? Come on, make it sound real." And then there was a joke about somebody eating somebody's ass, and then somebody else says that's what we call fine dining. I don't know if you got that. That cracked me up. Like, so ridiculous. But I'm hooked. I mean, whatever
Yeah.
that formula is, good for them. They got it. They got me hooked.
This is why I don't watch reality shows. I get hooked very quickly. But yeah, we'll check it out and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and we'll find something else to watch. And so hopefully,
Yeah.
what we'll do next week is watch something we really like.
You know what? That we'll find. There's a short film. Remember that short film that came out last year with Ethan Hawke
Yeah.
and Pedro Pascal? I read somewhere that is streaming somewhere this week.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll watch that. So a short film, and then we'll talk about the 8 episodes.
All right. Sounds awesome.
All right. Awesome. So until then, the cork is back in the bottle.